Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Reclaiming Our Value, Black Comedians in America. Now, please welcome to the screen, John Gebretatose.
Hey, hello, hi. Woo! Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I am John Gebretatose. Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The delay is what I'm into. Thank you. Thank you all so much who are tuning in on YouTube for the panel here today.
John Gebretatose.
Hey, hello. I think someone's
somebody's watching.
Yeah.
Woo!
Thank you. Can someone, thank you.
Mute.
Can someone
Hey, mama.
There you go.
It's great. This is so great.
We have so many people here that are amazing and talented, and I'm really excited. I just want to get right into it. But this came out of a conversation that we've all kind of been having in different areas. But for me, I was having a conversation with Colton Dunn, who you'll see, and we were he was happy to let me share what has been going on here in my world, in my own little personal bubble, and we just were kind of talking, and we felt like maybe this could be a good time, now better than ever. Why not have a space where we can talk about being Black in America as comedians and what that might mean for us right now. Without further ado, I do want to say that this panel of individuals are from across our industry and hosted by Huge Theater, but views of the panel are their own. So take that with all of your heart. I've said it with my whole chest. It is about time to go. So I'm going to get right into the introductions. Very excited. First off, all the way from Minneapolis, or St. Paul, really, my good friend, Minnesota actor extraordinaire, co-founder of Blackout. Please put your hands together for Joy Dolo.
Woo!
Oh, hello, John Gebretatose. Hello.
Hey.
Yes, solo. That's what they say here in the streets of Minneapolis.
That's right. Did I miss anything? Is there anything you would like to know for the people?
No, I'm really excited to be here, and part of our mission of Blackout is to lift up Black voices. So I'm really excited to give my experience and point of view. And I'm actually in St. Paul. There's a huge difference, but
That's
Minneapolis is cool.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. That's Joy Dolo from St. Paul. My good friend. Next person can be found on Late Nights with Seth Meyers and Key and Peele. Put your hands together for Amber Ruffin. Amber Ruffin.
Hi.
Did I get everything correct, Amber? Is there one note that I missed?
Black Lady Sketch Show last season, not this season.
Okay.
The Amber Ruffin Show coming to Peacock.
Oh.
And somebody better hurry up and do something because it's coming soon, baby. Until then, let me hop on this panel real quick.
Yeah.
And goof around with my little friends.
Great, wonderful, thank you. That's Amber Ruffin. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo.
I think that was an exclusive. And the next person has been seen on Superstore and Key and Peele. Put your hands together for Colton Dunn.
Yeah,
all right.
Woo.
St. Paul in the house.
Hey, dab.
All right. Is there anything I missed or anything you want to share?
Yeah, you got to check out the Amber Ruffin Show on Peacock, coming out soon.
Yes, Colton Dunn. Yes. Wonderful. And then next person up is the founding member and owner, first, I would say, and only right now, Black woman to own an improv theater in America. Could be wrong, but I believe I'm correct. Put your hands together for Michelle Gilliam.
Yay. Hello.
Hey. Michelle, good to see you. Did I miss anything?
Good to see you too. I don't know if we mention the Amber Ruffin Show?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's the only thing I came here to talk about.
That's okay. All right. Wonderful. Thank you. Michelle Gilliam. Thank
you.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And this person, we love him. You love him. You've seen him on Reno 911, BoJack Horseman. Put your hands together for Cedric Yarbrough.
Yeah.
Yay.
Nice.
Sorry.
You did. Yeah. Is there anything I missed, Cedric, that you want to let the folks know about?
Representing North Minneapolis and
All
suburbs of the Minneapolis, and I did a show called Speechless, and I do the Boondocks. The Boondocks will be coming back. And have you heard of the Slamber Ruffler show?
Oh no, now we won't know what to do. My nemesis.
Slamber Ruffler. She's so dope. Anyway,
Yeah.
Slamber Ruffler.
I love it. Big fan of the Smeed.
Yeah.
Wokes the Smeed. Yes, I appreciate it. Yeah, that's everybody.
I'm out.
Yes. Yeah, everyone can turn on their cameras and join us for a full chat. Thank you all so much for doing this. Everybody here has some sort of connection to comedy regards, but I want to just be transparent. I have 3 questions here that kind of just based on, the past and the present and the future. And that's kind of the structure of what this is. But really, I just, we can just start where, what are the ways in which you have fought for your own value? Before we get to that answer, I'll just kind of buy you a little bit of time, just a second here, just so everybody knows. This also was a conversation I had with an older sister of mine, Donna Cooper, an adopted older sister, but just talking to her right after George Floyd, we really broke down the amount of value within Black people that has been either removed or never been there or what have you. It's just not existent. Obviously, when you can watch Black people be murdered on television or whatever screen without any sort of justice, that is sad, it's heartbreaking, but it's traumatizing, but it also is a reminder that it's not just that we're afraid for our lives from the police. We also have other ways, other industries that we do not get the respect in which we can. Great. So I think, Shoshana saying, say that blurb too. Let me see here. I'm going to open it up and then I'll come back to that blurb, Shoshana. I totally spaced out, but I will mention it. It'll be a nice, it'll seem like it was timed perfectly for me to say it later. But any of y'all want to jump in here and we're all coming from different walks, different backgrounds here, coming at comedy from, different areas of our careers or whatnot. But I think one thing is true. We all kind of have the same experience of being Black and in comedy, and regardless what level you're at, there still can be a sense of feeling lonely or just different obstacles. So I want to know, what ways have you all fought for your own value and had to stick up for yourself, or
Well, I'll start. From the time I was a kid and I started doing improv when I was 15 years old and I was the captain of my comedy sports team. Everybody in the audience would yell out Black celebrities and all this for the games and things like that. And so before I even knew what the term was, I was teaching my team of all white people top of intelligence, because I told them that when they yelled out a Black celebrity, I wasn't going out. And so I had to do my mind twofold. So I was just it's a compliment that people want to see me on stage, but then at the same time, this is racist Wisconsin. So, they're wanting me to play the stereotype that they have set up in their brains. And I wasn't going to do it. So I shared that with my team, and I'm just so I was teaching them that not to play a stereotype and to go out there and represent whoever the celebrity was to the top of their intelligence. So that's one thing that I did from the time I was young and still do, now.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Cool. I guess some immediate things. I grew up in Fridley, Minnesota, and at the time it was mostly white. And I am from Liberia, I'm first generation. And so I didn't fit in with the African kids, and I didn't fit in with the Black kids or the white kids. And so I experienced a lot of loneliness, but there's the unspoken comments that would happen, or looks, if you will, like, because I've looked like this since I was 13. Like I've always looked like I was 30, and so from just looking like this, I feel like you're sexualized, you're treated like an adult, like people blow up at you for no reason, and just fighting. I think that's what they mean by fighting to live, like fighting for the right to be able to feel your emotions and to show vulnerability and to and capture humanity. I feel like that was a constant struggle in high school and in college. And you know, we talk about microaggressions, but in actuality, it really is just aggression. And having aggression at you from a young age is something that I think that's just fighting that for value or for my worth.
Yeah. Amber?
I truly don't know. I mean, I was a real go with the flow kind of dude until I got to Late Night Seth, because I am a go with the flow dude, but also you can't be raising no stink. You can't be doing anything. I don't have a second. I don't have a plan B. I can't be fired from these theaters and shit and stuff. So
nice cover.
They'll never suspect a thing. So
Amber Ruffin would never have made that mistake.
Coming soon to
much
Peacock.
younger than me. I really tried to go with the flow, and honestly, I was alone a lot of the time, so it never felt like Black people were being treated this way. I felt like I was young and fun, and so I was a little favored. But when I got to Late Night Seth, I saw Michelle Wolf just friggin' say whatever she thought and treated everybody how she felt like treating them, you know, and friggin' made demands and was a real super like boss. And I had never done that. Like I'd been cool, I'd been compliant and blah, blah, blah. But I had never really been like, I like the sketch I wrote and people need to see it. You know, I didn't act like that until I had seen someone do that. But yeah, it wasn't until at all the theaters I was at, it wasn't until there was more than one Black person there at the same time where people really started to get treated crazy. When I was there alone, no one was really out to get me. But boy, oh boy, 2 seconds after I left every theater, it went down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true.
Pattern.
Yes, I think that would be a good point that Amber brings up, which is, you know, the tokenism that sometimes happens in our profession when they bring in the one Black person. There's almost an illusion that they're valuing you, but in a sense, there's a level of exploitation there that's going on, and that begins to get highlighted when you start to see more and more people of color, or more and more of whatever marginalized group become a part, I think, of any organization. You know, it's sort of like that. No, we liked it when it was just the one guy, but now we're,
Yeah.
there's a little too many showing up now. You know, I remember, you know, for myself, you know, was where I met Amber actually was a theater called Boom Chicago in Amsterdam, and when I went out there, I was sort of coming out, and at the time, like late '90s, early 2000s. Generally, I was usually the only Black person in the improv thing I was doing. Well, when I went out there, it was me and Jordan Peele. And unfortunately, that meant almost we almost had to compete against each other for the part in the show and for the different characters that we do, which is, one, not fun to do. It's not fun to compete. It's also really sucks to compete against somebody as talented as Jordan Peele in anything. You don't want to have to do that. But that was, you know, an example of where it was like, well, you know, I'm going to have to, you know, fight for, you know, making my own voice here and to not be, you know, stuck into this, you know, just because that was a character that Jordan did, Doesn't mean that's a character that I'm going to do. Here's another example. I wrote a Mad TV, and the first year that I wrote there, at one point they came in the office. They said, "Hey, there's these sketches that we do called the Blind Kung Fu Master." There are these Bobby Lee sketches where he plays this blind kung fu master who, if you ever haven't seen the sketch, you get it from the name of it. He's a kung fu master who's blind, and so he's not very good at doing kung fu because he cannot see. This was the joke of the sketch. And so they kind of brought me the sketch. They're like, "Hey, we want to keep this going," and so I went into the archives to watch the old sketches and to read the old sketches, and I noticed the name on as the writer of the old sketches, and I was like, I wonder who this writer was, and I searched it, and it was another Black writer. So even in that sense, they were like, let's bring this to the Black writer because before a Black writer wrote it. So I think there is fighting to not be treated like a monolith, and to be treated as the individual, and always be wary when you're the only one in the room and you go, "Hey, everybody seems to be treating me really nice." Yeah. Just be, you have to be aware of where that comes from.
Yeah. Well said. Cedric.
Yes. Just to echo a little bit of what both Colton and Amber were talking about earlier. My training was in Minneapolis, in Minnesota State University, Mankato State was what it was called back then. And great training, by the way. I love that I was able to learn as much as I did at that school. But like many of you're the only one of your kind, and I'm competing with a lot of white kids for these roles and beating them and getting these roles, and my confidence is building and getting stronger, and I feel like I'm getting better. And I always knew I was Black, but I didn't know how Black I was until moving to LA and Hollywood. And how I was used to doing these colorblind roles and doing Sweeney Todd and doing the Julius Caesar and Antony and Cleopatra, and doing these roles that traditionally aren't for Black folk or that are portrayed by Black folk, but I was doing them and doing a lot of different things, and then to come to Los Angeles and really shown you how, no, you're not that. We're not doing that here. We're doing this, and this is what you are to us here. That was quite shocking for me at first, to be like, this is how they see you, and what are you going to do about it? And I think a lot of young actors, much like Amber was saying, you kind of hang back and you're polite and nice. And I think with age and experience, you really learn your value. You learn what what you will and won't put up with, and what battles that you do want to fight, which ones are worth it, which ones will you walk away from this project and just use your power of no. I just think a lot of that comes with age and experience, that you can really, you're not just a vessel, you have something to say, and you have backing and your values to show your value.
Beautifully said. I think there's like you said, you went to Hollywood and then you were hit with this basic, like, just a great example of like how that slave master mentality is still there, how it's still like, oh, you think you're free, show me your papers. Whatever you did over in the North is different out here. Like that whole we could keep doing that on and on, but like, give me a small hill that you fought on, or big hill, whatever hill, like anything that maybe is statute limitations is gone, so you can probably speak about it if you so choose. If you want.
I can talk about something if you don't mind. I'll go right now about something with the George Floyd case, and us and me doing a cop show. Reno 911 is a cop show that was been on forever on Comedy Central, and now it's on Quibi, and it's the same format, it's the same show. very inept police officers, improvised show. And we have always dealt with racial issues on that show. We've always dealt with, whether it's homosexuality or women's issues, all kinds of stuff. So everyone gets their fair share on our show. But this George Floyd case was very, hit home with me, especially being a Black man from Minneapolis and playing a cop show. Doing a cop show, I had to question my, what is it that I want to do? Do I still want to do this show? Is this still funny? Can we still be funny about this? I don't find it funny. I don't know. I mean, what do I want to do? And I was really wanting to quit my job. And I talked to the cast about it, and I was straight up with them. I was like, I don't think I want to do this anymore. And Niecy Nash, another African-American actress on the show, talked me off the ledge, and she just felt like, we have a format here. Taking yourself out of the game doesn't change what's actually happening. There's still going to be police. There's still going to be the problem here. But you taking yourself out of the game, you can't talk about it. You don't have the format to really satirize it. And for me, that really hit home. Also, getting the rest of the gang to help with the Floyd family funeral. We helped financially there. We reached out to them and their lawyers, and we're able to help them that way. And that also, helped me in thinking, okay, I think, I need to stay in it, as opposed to taking myself out of this, out of what's happening here.
Yeah. Beautifully. Yeah. Like, that's great, man. It shows the complexities of this whole thing. It's bigger. It's bigger than just, whatever role we're playing for that night. Amber, well, you guys cover a lot of topical things, right? I'm sure you have to, similar to Cedric, be the voice, or you have to either play the hero or villain when stories come up all the time. You got to you get to make a choice, I guess, like Cedric did, if you're going to stay or not,
It feels fantastic because every time something crazy happens, I sit down and I write, my little 8 pages of me just ranting like a madman. And then I get to do it, and if I didn't have this job, I don't know what I would have done. Mm-hmm. Because goodness, how are any of us getting through it? But I tell you, when we, went home for COVID and then George Floyd happened, I thought, oh, I'll write something. And, then I wrote a sketch and I was like, ooh, you can't really do that. And then, the tide changed in 3 days, you went from this is the regular sad to everyone is spending a part of their day crying. Yeah. It was nuts. So wrote the sketch, and then from the next day looked back and was like, what a horrible idea. Mm-hmm. And then so I wrote a rant, and then from the next day looked back and was like, what are you thinking? Mm-hmm. So then I asked if I could open the show with just me telling stories about the friggin' billion times I've been stopped by cops. And we just cold opened with it all week. Yeah. And we did it once, and I said, we could do this for 6 more days. So they were like, oh, okay, great. Let's do it all week. And people did not know that this was a thing. Mm-hmm. And I said, I can't speak for everyone but I can speak for everyone I know. And I'm saying all of us have this. All of us. Everyone I know has it. So that got a little off topic, but.
No, that's exactly right.
No. Yeah, I was just going to kind of just I just remember being younger, and my brother's like a year and a half older than me. And, he was driving, and I remember I was in my late teens when I found out he was getting stopped all the time. And I lived in the same house with him, didn't know that was a thing, you know? And then it kind of just like opened up my eyes, like, this is a thing. This is, my brother's getting stopped because he's Black, because he's a guy, you know? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I think obviously everybody has the feeling of being disenfranchised, and you see things like this. But I think especially for me as a Black man, and a lot of Black men I know, that feeling that Cedric was talking about wanting to just say fuck all of it, I'm burning it all, is so real. And I remember, that we all have our different like little text groups that we text with. And, like what I was texting to, my Black friends, especially the other Black men, was, I don't want to do any of this anymore. None of this makes, and like this, I'm so livid. And if not for the fact that I just had a kid and had that responsibility of having to be home, I don't know where I would have been, or where I would have gone out, and done with that. And I think the lesson, though, is to that we do stop. We let ourselves feel that anger, but we let that drive us to be mindful with what we're doing in the future, with the choices, that Amber's making for her pieces for the show, or, the improv choices that Cedric's going to make in Reno 911 moving forward. Like we don't let that feeling consume us. We listen to it, and then we're mindful of it moving forward. And hopefully that's something that the entire country, not just, the Black men who saw themselves getting choked out, and the Black community that saw themselves getting choked out, but all the humans that saw themselves getting choked out, I hope will take that energy and be mindful moving forward with it in whatever line of work they're in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Joy.
Yeah, when George Floyd was murdered, like that happened. And shortly after, they burned down a Target that was less than a mile away from my house. And so not only are we like collectively grieving, but we're also terrified because there's gunshots going off at night. There's helicopters everywhere. Everyone is scared. Like we're talking with our neighbors to be like, what is the game plan? Like if the National Guard comes down our street, like what's the plan, So the processing of it is a challenge. And after, like Colton was saying, after taking the time to feel it and process it and acknowledge it, because I feel like that's something too, is like because we have so many things happening back to back to back, there isn't the time to just sit with it and grieve with it. And it's easy just to say, fuck all this, I'm not going to do this anymore. But turning it into something positive. And for myself, like I got so many texts from white people. Did anybody else get like those kind of texts of like, can I buy you some Grubhub or something like that? Like some crazy shit. Like, and I appreciate the banana bread. It was really good. But like, but I think that made me madder because it's like, you're not listening to what's going on. That's not helping the situation, which is another conversation, reparations. We can talk about that later. But I think turning it into something positive, like I was checking in with my family more. I was checking in with my Black neighbors around here I say hi to them, but I don't, talk to them. So I'm just checking in more with my community and with my family and trying to build up my community. And that has helped me kind of process all of this and move forward. Because there is that feeling of just stopping and giving up.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So for me, when when George Floyd was murdered, I had been 2 months before that, for like 8 weeks, every single night I was hosting a Zoom, just because I was concerned about people in my improv community, and I just wanted everybody to have a place to be able to still see people, and interact and all of that. And the second that happened, like I had to stop the Zooms because it just like was outside of my capacity to be able to handle that anymore. And also, like I had already planned on, opening my theater, but I just was kind of quiet about it because the theater that I was associated with before had been mistreating me very badly, but I was also quiet about it because I didn't want to like blow up my whole community. Like I'm the only Black woman in this community. There's 3 Black men, and like 2 of them are like only part-time, and 1 has been around for like a long time, which is really great. But I then the theater that had been mistreating me, they decided to start collecting monies for Black Lives Matter, and then going to the rallies and, you know, giving people snacks and water, which is good. That's good. Those are good actions. But you silenced the one Black woman in your theater. So I lost my poop, and I made a post. I never even named them. But then all of a sudden, like, they all call me. They're like, oh, I'm really sorry. We got really capitalistic and greedy, and we didn't care about the community anymore. And again, my theater was already in the works, so it wasn't like a thing for me. But I had to say to one guy who I was on the phone with, who I had been really close to, who had decided to push me out, I said, you know, if I had made that post, I said, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation right now. You know, and I knew it was all performative, because literally there were 6 owners at the time, 5 quit. Just left their own theater because of my little post. But you knew you were wrong. You know, you were so wrong, and you're still so wrong. And those apologies meant nothing. And you know they meant nothing. You're just trying to save face. You literally thought, because you tried to apologize to me in a fake way, that I would like be like, let me help you. Let me save you. Are you like literally insane? Because that wasn't going to happen. A real apology would have been nice. But like, anyway, for me, it was just like, you don't get to say Black Lives Matter when you have one Black woman who's been doing improv for over 20 years in your community, and you are trying to push her out. I'm sorry, that's just not a thing. Not for me.
I wonder if anybody else has had this experience wherever you are, but like after George Floyd was murdered, just getting a bunch of content and like auditions or whatever for like anti-racist material. And like, you know, all of the theaters around here were putting out, you know, what they believe for Black Lives Matter. And, you know, all the organizations are like putting it on the front page, like, we believe this and that and that. And it was just so, it seems so disingenuous because of the timing. And it's like, if this was something you really stood for, why are you just saying this so boldly right now? And I think that goes back to what you were saying about like wanting to just drop out and quit. Because it's like, these people, you know, they're the ones that are paying for the voiceovers or whatever, you know, you're doing to make your money. And it's like, but, you know, what do you do? It's frustrating.
Yeah, who else got those? Yeah, go ahead, Amber. You got those emails and questions and texts? If you could be a nutcracker, the Black edition, or what else?
Yes, definitely so. But I was just going to say, I wonder how many, so like, did every improv theater implode? Was it all of them? Did they all?
Much.
Yeah, not huge.
Not huge. Who's been doing the work? Yeah,
we've been.
Most of them did, though.
Most of them have imploded.
Really? Second City didn't.
Well,
Second
they're
City survived.
What's that?
Second City survived.
They
but I
survived,
didn't, and neither did a second UCB.
I have feelings about IO.
Yeah.
But what'd you say?
What are your? Oh my God! This Zoom is going to be 49 years.
Let's do it.
I can't wait to hear it.
But I have nothing to do.
It was a lot. It was a lot, and I really am so proud of everyone for being like, cute message, but in action you're not there. Like that was bold, and it was brave, and it shook things up, and it stopped a lot of mistreatment. And this is dumb, but it was a little scary to be like, you know what, this theater I loved so bad is actually bad for you. And I can't, in good conscience, tell Black people that this is an okay place to be. I simply can't vouch for your safety.
Yes. That's it. That's exactly it. That is the dilemma too, unfortunately, is the dilemma that we have to experience. We have to make that call, not only on behalf of us, but we take care of each other. And in doing that, for whatever reason, that's radical when it shouldn't be. It should be, you know, as simple. It's just a regular safety protocol. But for whatever, we know the reason, we speak out on something or just name a thing, we become that problem just for saying that there's a
This
problem.
brings me back to that thing I was saying about reparations, because like the first week after George Floyd was murdered, like all of the money and the Venmos and all of the things that were coming in were helpful. But like, so say somebody needs a job. If somebody just, they need a job, you know, they need the money. This place is giving them X and X and X. And it's like, yeah, they don't treat Black people very well, but I got a rent to pay. I have a mortgage. I have a family. I have things to pay for. You can't just walk away. So you have to go into the system and put up with whatever it is. So I just wish that there was more of a conversation of when we're lifting each other up and we're having these white folks sending us money and Grubhubs, like that should be a consistent thing so we can live, so we don't have to give into like our
Where did everybody get all this Grubhub from?
You don't have any friends?
I ain't nobody can't send me no Grubhub.
I'll send you a coupon.
I would have been scared to eat it. I'm sorry.
What's in this DoorDash?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess, yeah, the reparation. Yeah, the concept that, look, it's not even, it's not equal. We're not on like similar footing when we're talking about like people that we like. Cedric, you can't even do whatever you need to do without feeling like you have to compete with other people. Colton, same. If there's two Black people in the room, all of a sudden the narrative in that room changes to, well, which one of you will be the final Negro? Right, when it should just be like there's more than enough room for all of us. This idea of scarcity within Black people and putting it on top of us. That's one of the goals of today. Is just to address that so we can, you know, feel a little bit more like that's a myth, and we know maybe the roots of it, but it's not true. There's room for all of us. Amber Ruffin has a show coming out on the Peacock. We know that.
So
I got 3 Black writers.
Okay.
3 all in the same room. Can you believe it? Black Lady Sketch Show was all Black ladies. And I have still never, can I say never? I think never worked with another Black woman.
Wow.
On
Listen.
Black Lady Sketch Show, I was in New York and they were in LA. I don't know what it would be like.
It's so rare when you get a bunch of Black people together. Like that's why Blackout was such a revolution. Like getting all these Black people together, being silly and unapologetically being silly. And like truly, like the comedy and all of it wasn't for the audience. It was for us. It was for us to vent and have conversations about what growing up in Minnesota is like in this white culture. And I think the reason it was so successful is because white people were like, oh, I didn't even realize that. Or, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to try to do better. But it was just like having a bunch of Black people in a room is a different experience than being the only Black person in an improv of white folks. It's a different show.
You don't have to monitor your references.
Right. Yes. We all know what a cookout is.
Can I ask how long Blackout has been around? I'm unaware of what that show is. Please.
Yeah. Sure. Blackout's been around since 2015. It was started with myself, John, Alce Bruna, Andy Hilbrands, who's in Los Angeles right now writing, and Corey Pullum. And the idea, our format is it's Black people having a Black-ass conversation, a serious conversation, and then we do improv comedy based on that conversation. And within the first couple weeks was, I think, when Jamar Clark was murdered. And so all 5 of us were downstairs trying to figure out how are we going to do comedy right now when like we have people protesting in the street and our people are out there dying. How are we going to make this funny? And we literally went out there and we didn't. We went out there and said exactly what we were feeling. There was a lot of anger, a lot of crying, a lot of everything. But then after we were done going through all the tragedy, there was so much comedy and there was so much love. And it was like a cathartic exhale for us and for the audience. It was just a way to process all of that tension. Like the comedy was used to process the tragedy. And that's why comedy is so important. And when you take when you take people of color and Black people out of the comedy scenario, you don't get that, you know?
That's right. That's why Black people are so important.
Yeah.
You know, because we take tragedies and we turn them into amazing things. We take that energy and we bring amazing music and amazing art and amazing thought, you know, and that's a strength, you know, that we've had as a people historically in this country. And we can see it, you know, show itself in our improv and in all sorts of avenues of entertainment.
It's like, how dare you think that Black people aren't great at comedy when we need it to survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Laugh to keep from crying. The first time I played with all Black people was online.
Wow.
And I was nervous because I played on a Black and brown team in Boston, and that was a whole feeling, and I loved it so much. And I felt like you were saying, Amber, earlier, it's like I was in the room and I felt like I could breathe, you know, like it was totally a different experience. And, you know, yeah, so then I played online at a jam or a cookout, and I just had the most fun. I wasn't sure, but I was like, oh yeah, totally skills transfer, you know what I mean? Like it was such a dumb thought to have, like, will the Black people accept me? You know, like
But that's real though. That's real. Like that thing,
very
you know,
real.
I talk a certain way that makes people uncomfortable sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm in a group of African people and Black people, like, you know, it's like, why do you talk like that? You know, and I grew up in a white culture, so I talk how I talk, but it was like, I did get self-conscious, like, you know, just being in a group of all African American people. And it's like, our experiences are different. Will they accept me? Will they understand me? And what I learned was yes, they will.
Yes,
but I mean,
yeah.
like, there is all these insecurities and this imposter syndrome that happens from constantly trying to protect yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's always such an interesting to think about how little anybody's ever talked about what it's like when four white guys do an improv show together. And, you know, like you'll never hear them talk about how great that experience is. And anytime you hear any of, you know, these marginalized groups, you know, one thing in improv especially, you know, will always, you know, hear about how amazing the experience is when that marginalized group was able to do a show together. And a lot of people push back against it and they say, well, that's just reverse racism or something else. But there's a strength in that. And everybody should at least have a taste of what that's like. Because, you know, like I said, you know, the sort of, you know, alpha improv, you know, 20 something white guy in a flannel shirt. He's been doing the shows with himself over and over again so much that he doesn't even know why it's important that he does it. And he doesn't see how that is what helped him get better at what it is he's doing. Right. You know, so it's important for us to celebrate not just the diversity shows where you have a bunch of different people from all over the place, but to celebrate those shows where a group of people are together telling a story.
Mm-hmm. I've been doing these panels with John, and I remember, and Joy too, I remember when I first started doing those panels about anti-racism in comedy, I didn't say this out loud for weeks, and then I finally just sent John a message because I had to like say it out loud. Like I had this like, and I'm like pretty even keeled, but like I had this like anger. I was like, I felt like Black people had been kept from me in improv. And, you know, there's the experience of, you know, a Black person might go to a one-on-one class or might go to a show and want to try it, but then there's not a community there for them. Like, and so there's nobody saying, checking for them, so to speak, you know, not necessarily even the white teachers. And, you know, and improv is weird now. Like it's competitive and strange and odd. And so it's like that for everybody. But then, you know, you put a Black person in there and then you put a Black woman in there and it's even rougher, and people leave and never come back. And so you don't get to see them. And so I was like, there's so many Black improvisers all over the world. And I feel like, you know, I was angry for a little while to feel like they've been kept from me. And like, you know, I'm in the Midwest, I'm, you know, for most of my career. And so I didn't see a lot of, you know, Black improvisers, and that was really hard.
Yeah.
Add to that, Cedric.
We're out here. Yeah, we're out here. Kind of backtracking about kind of what Amber and I were talking about being, and like all of us have been, we're talking about being the only one, and then finally getting with a group of Black folk that are like-minded, like-trained. You just have this, you know, a synergy that just is, you just, it's just, Black people are just magic, man. It's just, it's so much fun. I've been doing this show called The Black Version since 2010 with Jordan Black. He got us all together. Keegan Michael Key, Jordan Peele,
Naima Funk,
Phil Lamar, Danielle Gaither, Gary Anthony Williams, and myself, until Jordan and Keegan became Jordan and Keegan. Still doing the show, but to have us all together, and then have people come in, like Wayne Brady, and have people like Maya Rudolph and Niecy Nash and other Black people to come in and guest and play with us, I can say has directly made me a better actor, has made me more honest, has made me more honest in my relationships with all kinds of people. It's made me a better business person. I can directly attribute my success went way up as soon as I started playing with Black people, and I have them to thank for a lot of the good things that have happened in my life since playing with them. Really.
That's beautiful. Yeah, the affinity groups. There's something very special about that, and then it's hard work though too that people don't really describe. We don't just like show up, match calendars, and do it. I mean, from the outside looking, it's easy. You're all Black, he's Black, you're Black. Okay, just get together, jump on stage, and make that. But they don't understand that it took Cedric however many years to get to that place. The years of experience from beforehand to recognize like, oh, when I do perform with them, there's something very special, almost feels like once in a lifetime kind of thing, because it's so rare, and to understand the beauty of that, and the weight of how special it is also met with, wow, it shouldn't have to be though, equally, like at the same time. It's almost heartbreaking, and also I'm very excited and very like I get a motivation from hearing that that's happening. I want to,
if you don't mind, if I could be Jordan Black for a second. He was so tired of seeing his white friends come up with these white groups and him being excluded. And he was like, yo, I think I know enough Black people that I could actually do this myself, as opposed to waiting and hoping and wishing someone would pick me. I do know enough Black folk, funny Black folk, that are fun, that'll show up.
Listen.
That will, bring a snack or two.
What people do you know?
Yeah, but so that was another thing, just to have taking control over your own thing as opposed to waiting for people to figure it out for you. That's another thing that I hope that we do more of, that we take what we know and realize we know a lot. We know a lot of people think that we do, and really taking the horse by the reins and going with it.
Hell yeah. I'm going to add on to that just because I completely believe in that 100%. Like when we're doing our blackout workshops, the number one thing that I try to bring home to people is that you are enough. You can be the leader in your own life. Whatever you want to do, you can do it. And like Blackout, we started Blackout. I'm starting a podcast. I'm starting a camp. I've got so many things that I want to do. And people are like, how are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just talking to people and saying, this is something I believe in, and this is something that we need. How can we do this? Don't tell me I can't do this. How can I do this? And that's why Blackout's been around with like no money, like that's how things keep going, because you share your passion for what you're doing, and people jump onto that passion, and they will follow you. I love it. Love it.
When you get to a certain level and you look around and you go, wait, these people have no experience, but I've done 3,000 improv shows. It blows your mind. And you're like, I am overqualified, especially short form improv. They could never. They're like, what rhymes with shoe?
Yeah. Ooh. Yeah.
I feel like I need to clarify now. I do long form now for the snobs out there. Started at Comedy Sports, went to college in Chicago.
That's part of realizing your value. You get that, like, oh yeah, I do have experience. I know I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I actually know this stuff. And that person doesn't. They how did they get here? No, fuck that. I'm going. No.
Yes.
We all know how they got there.
I was gonna say something super inappropriate.
Say it.
It was just gonna be. Never mind.
It's okay if you sing it.
It was gonna be WAP. Okay, so
WAP.
Anyway, I want to go back to something real quick, and then we can move on to what Colton said. Though it's like, it's like people take for granted that like those 4 white dudes have been playing in thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of shows, so they're getting their skills up. Whereas like you guys have said all night, Black people have had to like fight for the same spot because they want to put one Black person on each team and break people up and make sure that they don't get together and, claim power, so it's like, or Black people just come and then they leave because they don't find a space and a place for themselves. And so I feel like I've had coffee. I haven't. But it's like, there's something to those reps that, most Black people don't even get. And so that's one of the things that I want to help transform in my, in improv period, for everybody.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Being a theater owner now as a Black woman, talk a little bit about that, like, having that power. Finally, Amber's got a show. We've got power, joy, Colton, Cedric, you're at a place now where this, there's more power than you had 10 years ago, I would assume, for everyone here.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's kind of like basing off a question too, with the death of George Floyd, the murder of George Floyd, and knowing what we know now, which we always knew, but like where we're at now, how do we look at what we have with the power that we have? How do we move forward?
So people that know me, like I've always walked around like I own the place. So like, no matter what I was doing or where I was at, and that's why people either love me or they hate me. That was part of my old theater's problem as well. It's like, they were concerned about people following me anywhere. And I get it, I know who I am. So but now that I have, control over programming and I don't have to like tippy toe or, try to present something in a certain way to someone so that, they'll actually do it and they won't have their ego hurt or feel intimidated. If that feels really good. And, just to be able to have been able to say to my community what happened. And I didn't go into like great detail of all the BS they put me through because I'm not trying to like stay in that like negative space or drag anybody like that. But I am, presenting like, this was an issue, this was an issue, this was an issue, and that's what I did. I never even named the theater when I did my post. And I got messages from more than 40 people that were like, was it this theater? They thought it was another theater. And I'm like, yikes. Like, that's messed up. We only have like a few theaters in our town. But yeah, I mean, it's really fun to be able to play with who I want, not worry about somebody else's, feelings or saying that I can't do that, or politics in comedy and all of that. It feels really good. And paving the way for others.
It's the coolest thing.
It is.
This is the best part. I'm so glad I did this because I can't believe you exist. It's super cool.
Thanks. Can't believe you guys. Well, I'm a big fan of you guys. I didn't want to fan out too hard earlier.
Unbelievable.
And that's how easy comedy is. It's nothing.
Colton. Yeah, talk about it with this new awareness. And we talked about it, a little bit earlier, just with, now with this new understanding, we have a new consciousness, and I hate to say it, I feel like now we are on a level where we are either going to learn to understand who we are individually, who we are in as community, and I think there's so much power there. How do you begin to frame moving forward for you guys, especially if you're working with Hollywood, which we all know is a different, whole nother situation unto itself that is deals with a lot of I don't even know. I don't even want to speculate the level of horse shit.
You mean horseshit?
I find that palatable.
I think that the strength and the power that we need to see the change that hopefully is going to be happening isn't going to come from any one individual getting to a certain place. It really does come from the community that has, I feel, kind of come together in, and I hesitate to say like in a way it never has before, because the community has come together many times in the past to overcome a lot of things. But there's sort of a new world with the internet and with everything like that, where the community is coming together in a different way. And in a lot of ways, one of the things that I think was one of the many inspiring things that came out of this recent movement was watching how quickly it spread overseas to other countries.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that we necessarily saw during the civil rights movement. Obviously did not see that during the Civil War. But this sort of people are still there to go to bat for us if we're able to stand up for ourselves and make some noise. And I think that, you're seeing it now in whatever some people call it cancel culture, like I call it accountability culture. But, people are being held accountable for things. And we're starting to see that happen more and more. And I think the goal is to not let that slow down. Yeah. And to keep that moving, and to keep figuring out how and where we have these choke points of power and how to break those down so that there aren't choke points anymore, so that it's, there's some jobs where there shouldn't just be one person in that job, where that wields too much power. They have to be either answer to a group or that job needs to be run by a group. So I think that, to answer your question specifically, I don't think there's any one ultimate power that I'm going to get to in this business at all. But knowing that there's a strong community that is willing to stand up alongside of me and ask for change, that's empowering, I think, for all of us.
Cedric. Now I'm just saying names and I'm going to say add to it. Cedric, add to it, please.
I concur.
Amen.
I mean, how do you go after Colton Dunn, man? That was extremely well put and well said. Again, like Colton said, I don't know if I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here, but but knowing that there, is a Michelle Gilliam and Joy Dolo, and there's other new up and coming people also that are like-minded, that also will fight and have your back, is exhilarating. It's it makes you more and more confident in what you do, and not second guess yourself, like, oh, am I crazy here? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's just me. And it's not. It isn't just you. It's, even though you kind of feel like you're having this battle by yourself, you're not alone. There are a lot of like-minded individuals, and they are people of color that have your back, that feel the same way.
Yes, beautiful, man. Yeah, exactly. Beautifully said. That was great. You did great, Cedric. That was.
I concur.
That's what we needed. We need to see this too. Like, this is important to see people that they may see on the TVs, because, you know, the saying is, if it's on TV, it's real. So to see people who we've seen on TV screens working through and feeling the same things, other Black folks like us, kind of processing it. We're in the same space, regardless of, you know, what degree or what level. It's hard, and we all feel similar emotions. We're all wanting to feel a sense of belonging, and that we're not. You know, we haven't lost our mind, and that what we feel is valid, and that we're not wrong for speaking up because we see wrong happening.
When are we going to do something about Black hairstylists being there, and Black costumers and Black the people that are behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Listen,
you look good, but they don't know how to make you throw them in purple. That's what, you know. That's what we'll. They always throw us in purple.
just put them in an afro.
Yeah.
On stage.
Once when I had a teeny weeny afro, I sat down in the makeup and hair lady's chair, and she goes, "Well, where's your wig?" I said, I don't have a wig. It just looked like this. She goes, "Well, what do you do with it?"
What do you do with it?
This is what it does. It's doing it.
It's doing.
She went, and I'm not exaggerating. Well, I mean, you can't. And certainly, she was dealing with something else. But it the tears that she cried.
Yeah.
Oh my
That was the thing for me. When, growing up, you'd see a Black person on TV, and like you're like, I love what they're doing, but what's up with the?
Yes.
It's not quite. And it's always been a thing, that just that part of it. You know, I've always been like, you know, we need to get that part going. As
handled.
Look,
Yes.
the hair you can get away with in white spaces. I look crazy all the time. No one has ever called me on it at all.
I just gave myself a haircut, and I guarantee 9 out of the 10 white people were like, "Oh my God, that's amazing!" But if I took it to a Black barbershop, it would catch hell.
Did you ever have crazy hair because you thought you were going to go hang out with white people, then you see one Black person in the room, and it's like, oh
100%.
shit.
100%. And I had it worse because, like, I didn't learn stuff till I was older because I grew up in the suburbs. So I had a pass for a long time because I wasn't around Black people. And I'm like, oh, Black people are very critical about certain things. I need to learn. And then I need to go to church.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. It's different. It's different for Black women. Because no offense, y'all. I mean, like a nice shave or something will go a long way. But for Black women, you have all this stuff growing out. You got all these curls. You have all these textures. You got a lot of things to deal with. And just doing your hair for school. Like there are people that will not go to school if their hair isn't right. So you have people missing school, all these delinquents because they don't have anyone to do their hair. And it's like, if we realize like the glory of our hair and like the malleability, is that a word? Malleability? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really, it can move and do all kinds of stuff. And I feel like if we had that kind of, especially in Minnesota, because there's like no Black hairstylists, there's like 7 and they all work in the same area. But if we realize like the glory that it is and the pride that we can take in it and like all the things that it's capable of doing, that's such a great confidence boost. Like we need more confidence in Minnesota.
Well, there's just so many things that we're dealing with, right? Like that we haven't, like we talked about it to a certain extent, but we haven't talked about it, right? There's just like so many layers to being Black in America. And, you know, we work with those layers and then we do the same thing that everybody else is doing as well.
Yeah.
So like, there's just, you know, there's a lot to deal with. Hair is one thing, you know, makeup, lighting, all of that fun stuff. Yeah, just culturally there are differances.
I'm really not happy about all this conversation about hair.
What happened?
I wish you guys would stop.
Yeah.
I feel attacked.
Colton was so quiet. That's right.
We move on to another subject.
No, Colton, share. Who do you see?
Colton
Who's your
found
guy?
his voice.
Who did that to you, Colton?
The next subject is beards. Colton.
All right, now we're talking.
Cedric.
That's another issue.
Yeah.
That I've always had to. Also, I mean, I don't even like, I correct people when I want to know you.
Yeah.
If not, then I'm fine. Cedric is fine. But yes, my mother did that.
My last name is Gebretatose. It's Eritrean last name, Gebra, like Deborah, Tatios. And I got a lot of pride in that, but I could relate. Like, if I'm not, I can't, everybody, I gotta.
Yeah. You're not going to see Gebretatose on a keychain. Right. Happen for you. A lot.
It is. Yeah, our identity is important to us, but there seems to be a barrier sometimes when bringing it to our art for the idea of relatability, or is this accessible? I wonder if our audience will get it. You know, Amber was talking about it earlier. Like, when we get to play with our all black troops, we can say, you know, how we feel, however we want to say it. And we may not even use words, right? But we can understand. Like, a lot of breakdancing is that, right? It's a certain communication. And I really, for me, nobody asked, but I want to bring that forward, the idea of just letting go of code switching. And for those who get it. And for those who don't, feel free to Google it, you know, whatever we're talking about, whatever we're saying, and not let it be radical. Just let it be just what we need to say. I mean, it's a nonstop fight. As we speak, I believe there's a protest right now at the memorial for George Floyd, because at some point the city thinks it's going to be okay to take away the barricades. And so there's no real need to take away the barricades. There's just a few people that are like, well, when is this going to end? When can we go back to normal? And this concept of like, well, never. It doesn't have to. Why do we have to change what we need, right, for things to be comfortable for you? And I think about that with our names and our hair and everything like that. Why do we?
It's interesting I mean, I guess theater or like all the arts, like changing ourselves or code switching or switching things up for the palatability of the audience. Like, when did art become something that was just for entertainment? You know, like, when did it become something that we had to change who we are? Because I mean, what is art? What is the goal of art? Like, all of that. Like, I think the goal for me is to share my experience and my stories. And if I have to change myself, then it's not authentic. It's not genuine. No one's gonna buy it. But to make sure we got all those seats full so we can get the lights on the theater, then you got to make some changes. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I start my own shit, because I'm over it. But I mean, also, like, what are we all doing as a industry, you know, to make sure that we're not being shut out that way?
I have a personal experience on that, a little name drop here, but I got a chance to work with the late great Bernie Mac. And I worked with him a week, and it was life changing what this person was and how he moved in the world and how he thought. And he was always authentically himself all the time. He never changed or coded anything about himself, you know. He'd been doing stand-up comedy forever in Chicago, and you know, he'd seen other friends of his get TV shows and get all kinds of accolades and all this stuff, and you know, he was wondering about, you know, when it was time for his time, you know. And when he did the Bernie Mac show, he was still authentically, you know, really him. And you know, either you like it or you don't, but he was always himself, and that's what was the universal appeal. He was just human, and people dig that. People get into that, and that's what I've been trying to get more in touch with, my authentic, who I am, what I find funny, what I find moving. That's the kind of stuff I want to do, you know, is be me, and hopefully, you know, I'll have an audience that will come and want to go on the ride with me.
I'll
I'm
go.
here. I'm on.
I said it first. I get the front seat.
Joy,
We'll all go.
Shotgun.
Could I? So for code switching, I don't know. People might call this code switching or whatever, but when I play with white people that I don't know, I tell them that I don't play into any black stereotypes. But that's just like my style. Like I just don't. I'm not doing that. We're not playing that game. I literally had this guy get mad at me when I was in Boston because he said I played high status characters all the time. And I'm like, well, F you, learn something. But, and then, playing with black people now, like I feel a comfort level to play whatever I play. So like my friend, Rosna, who lives out in LA now that I know from Boston, like she's Haitian, and my friend Xian, she's Nigerian. So usually what'll happen is like Rosen will go on and she'll start this accent, this Haitian accent, and I'm really great at accents. And so, but I don't do it until she does it. Like I'm not Haitian, but I feel like I get that permission, but I'll never do it with white people. Like that's just, so maybe that's code switching, call it what you want, call it what you will. But I don't feel like I'm going to be that weird black stereotype for white people. I'm just not going to do it ever. Haven't. Yeah. So anyway.
That is part of the 1,000 corrections a second you make, like not only in improvising, but also you're like, oh, okay, what white people are here? Is someone going to call me their slave? Do I have to navigate that preemptively and not come out when they come out? Is this guy going to be all grabby? Do I have to navigate that?
I nip it. I'm like,
they said you have a baby face. Can I reference baby face? Nope, I can't. No one knows who that is.
They don't know this here. They don't know it here.
You have to do all of those things and also improvise. So when you get to improvise with black people, it's like people have taken weights off of your ankles and you can run 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I went to a show at Second City in Chicago, and it was a Christmas show, and they were going to plan like a family dinner or whatever, and they were asking for handles from the audience, and it was like, turkey and, gathering gifts, and I was like, Black Lives Matter, and you could feel the whole place just like... because it's 6 white folks on stage and there's like a temperature shift and my voice is loud and it is booming, and so they heard me and they're like, okay, so Black Lives Matter.
So,
okay, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. So it's like, this is supposed to be what y'all do. You're supposed to think on the fly. You can handle this. But it was a really awkward scene. It was wonderful. It was wonderful to watch.
I would have been like, we got Black Lives Matter last night, so we're not going to take that one. Thank you.
This is the second act, folks. Wait, before I want to add to that, but I just want to let the audience know, if you have questions, go ahead and type them in there. Shoshana will start to field the questions. We have about 15 minutes or so. Now's a good time to do that. Okay, anybody want to add to that idea? Joy, Dolo, making them feel exposed. Go ahead.
What?
You exposed that cast in a
making people feel exposed. We can talk about that too, I guess.
I like that.
I think kind of going to what Michelle was saying is, and it goes back to your first question about taking back your power. It's very important for everybody to know what their limits are and what their lines are, and to be clear about that. And it's a good lesson that if anybody's watching this, any younger improvisers, to listen to what Michelle's saying and understand that it's okay to verbalize things that you're not comfortable with. There's people who do that all the time. And it's okay if you say, you know what, I am comfortable doing that stuff. I want to do that. And I will do that.
Yeah,
if somebody says, somebody's like, I play the funniest pimp character in the world and I'm going to be a pimp.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. That's okay to do, because what it's about is the power inside of you.
Yes.
If at the end of playing that character, you still feel in power, go for it.
Yes.
So
100%.
so just take control of your own power. Think of like the Matrix and Transformers inside of Optimus Prime. You gotta control the Matrix. I lost everybody on that, but don't worry about it.
Yo,
we're good.
Wait a minute.
You guys are breaking up. I gotta go.
Yeah, okay.
Blurred.
I called a Black Panther mask a Transformer mask by accident with an all black group.
Oh no!
They were forgiving. They still dang Cedric, no, Amber, no. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they forgave me. Okay.
Great. Yeah.
It'll take a minute. It's gonna take some time.
The Black Panther was a transformative film in the
That's right.
comic book world.
That's what I was trying to say. Thank you, Colton. Colton has my back.
I don't know. It happens to the best of us. Looks like we have some questions lined up. You guys down to take some questions from
Let's do
people? Okay, Shoshana, if you want, you could jump on, join us, and pose some questions. Hey, Shoshana.
Hey, Shoshana. Thanks for helping put this together.
So one question we have from a young Black actor and improviser. We've been talking about being in those Black spaces with all Black groups, and they're wondering, does it sort of naturally flow? Have you experienced needing to intentionally set a space? And then also, what are some just favorite experiences you've had in playing in all Black groups?
Wait, can you see that first part again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, when you're finally, we talked a little bit about it already. When you're finally in an all Black group and you're on an all Black space playing, do you feel like it just comes naturally and you just have this new way of playing, or do you feel like you had to sort of set some intentions about how the space was going to go?
Yeah, like Amber was talking about, Michelle Wolf really kind of set the tone in that room, and Amber was like, "Oh, I didn't know you could just do that." Okay. And then I think that was like, right? I don't want to speak for you.
Spent so many years being like, okay, whatever everyone wants to do, I'll just do it, whatever. And I'm old. I'm too old to be acting this way. But I only just really learned that, you can make the rules.
Give me that Peacock show.
Yes.
Welcome to the Amber Ruffin show, if you don't mind.
You guys want to do tonight?
I do think, I think it's sort of to the question, the intention, like once you're there, I mean, obviously, and I think this goes without saying, especially in improv, working with any group, you got to put in some work to make it work. Yes. It's not just going to come just because you're all, the same, fill in the blank. You still got to put in the work to make it happen. Is it important to prioritize and make those spaces? That sort of kind of connects to what I was saying, is that I think it is important to do that. And I think that, if anybody who's, logged in right now is working with a different theater, whatever theater you're at, it's okay to advocate for that and to push for like, let's have these groups, let's have these spaces, just to feel what that energy is like. Me personally, I've done a few all Black groups. We did. I've done a ton of them out here in Los Angeles, but one of the most memorable ones is when I play with white women, which is a funny name for an all Black group, but. It's a blast playing with those guys. And, it's one of the first, groups that they've gone past sort of a lot of all Black groups. It's sort of, that's what they show you, hey, it's all Black people. And and it's sort of like, that's what gets you in, and that's okay. And that's fine. But the nice thing about with playing with white women is just for themselves, it very much feels like from them, they're way past that. They're just talking about the improv, and they're focused on what's the next festival we're gonna do, and so I think it's important to enjoy it for what it is, and it's also important to let it grow off and be its own thing. And just remember that at the end of the day, you're just people doing this art form that we all do, and that takes work, and there's no shortcuts to it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because now we all know Colton Dunn likes to play with white women.
Oh man,
I was waiting for it.
I knew it already. I knew it. I just knew it. I think it's, I think as far as like, I mean, doing the work, of course, but also like setting intention, like has always been important for Blackout anyway, is like, we know the rarity it is to have so many Black people doing this form together and doing like the monthly show or the weekly shows whenever we were doing it, but setting the intention before we start rehearsal, especially when we're having the conversations of, your point of view is everything in this. That's what this the only way this form works is if you have a strong point of view, and just know that you're talking to us, you're not talking to them, and just being very clear about that. Because you can get into a back and forth with an audience real quick. But I think setting intention is really important too.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like kind of like what Colton said. It's the only thing I noticed is like skill level. People have been doing, improv for different amounts of time, have had different, amounts of experience and things like that. That's the only thing that I've noticed. And the thing that has stood out, I don't know, I've just met some people that are just absolutely incredible that I click with, have great chemistry with, and it's just really cool and really fun and just absolutely amazing. And none of it would have happened if if the world wasn't ending. So there's that.
Beautiful. But it's not ending. Anybody else want to jump on? Okay, a favorite. How about a favorite? There's so many good memories or favorite memories. Anything. It's open. Playing with white women. We can dive into a couple of those favorite memories. Playing with white women. No.
Yeah, Colton.
Yeah, Colton.
If he won't go, I'll go. That's
for a different panel, y'all.
Okay. Sorry, I was reading the chat.
Are we reading the chat? I thought you were praying. Okay.
I was reading our internal message.
Yeah. Okay,
I guess there's been a lot. I mean, I've had so many favorite moments. It's hard to like really pinpoint one. Yeah. I think when we were first doing when we first started doing Blackout, we decided to start doing sketches too, and it was us with Alce Bruno, and like there was this one Christmas show that we were doing, and for some reason that last sketch when there was a Santa Claus, and I don't even know what it was a sketch about, but he was Santa Claus or a father trying to have a serious conversation with his son, and he didn't like know any of the lines, and so he started improvising, and it was just like the most wonderful gibberish. Listen here, boy, this is what you gotta learn when you go outside. Take your shoes off, but make sure that you keep the windows open. And it's just, he did this for like 10 minutes. It was the fucking funniest thing ever. It was so dumb.
Yeah.
Can I go back to something random?
Yes.
I'm just really happy when Colton said, if you want to play a pimp, if you want to do this, if you want to do that, do that. Because I'm always like concerned when I tell people my boundaries and what I do, like that they think I'm saying you can't do. No, I want people to do what they do and what they want to do and what makes them feel empowered. So thank you for adding that on.
Thank you. I'm trying to host and do 5 things. Also, somebody's cat is meowing.
It's me. I'm sorry.
I love it.
Dr. Purge he needs attention.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, there's how many performers here can't relate. Yeah, we understand.
I didn't know it was
I was hoping it wasn't a very neglected baby.
Yeah, cat or kid. That's what my brain. Cat or kid.
Oh no, I got one. I got one of those upstairs too, but it's another show.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to another question.
Yeah,
Shoshana.
Yeah, we have another question. I was excited to read. I'm thinking the same thing. They're asking, representation of folks with disabilities is pretty low on television. And here we have Colton Dunn, who's representing Garrett on Superstore, and also Cedric. I watched All of Speechless and really loved it so much. So would love to hear both of your thoughts on representation of characters with disabilities on those shows and just how you've navigated that.
On the black panel, they asked. No, I'm just kidding. Go for it.
Have intersectional identities.
Well, and specifically, you know, I portray, you know, a black man who has a disability. You know, so there's intersection there that, you know, that even if you talk to the disabled community, so they sometimes want to see that acknowledgement made of the intersection. You know, for me, obviously, you know, it's was a big choice to play the character Garrett on the show when I auditioned. I did audition against other actors with disabilities, and they ended up going, you know, picking me as far as the ensemble of the group goes for the show. So we kind of had a discussion at the beginning of whether or not I would continue to use the chair when we went to go make the show, and you know, after talking, you know, with the writers, but also talking with some of my friends with disabilities, some of my friends who use wheelchairs, I felt it was more important to have that character included and have that inclusion of that character on the show. And then for me, you know, what I've learned in it, in my, you know, for myself is that it's very important to me to make sure that Garrett, the character I play, is it's not just about him obviously be using this wheelchair. He's a full, well-rounded person. That's just one aspect of who he is. So I want to play it real and play it respectful. You know, that said, there is a horrible deficit of people with disabilities, actors with disabilities in television. And not just in the fact of playing characters who are disabled in shows, but also just bringing in actors with disabilities to play any character. You know, I've had discussions with you know, some actors with disabilities who are just like, you know, I've played, you know, gone out for a character named Wheels and you know, a character, you know, every character they go out for is specifically disabled as opposed to going out for any character, you know, much like what they've only just recently started doing now with casting of having, you know, you know, and some of the other people may talk about this, you know, in the last few pilot seasons, they don't want to always put the race of a character in a script anymore. And they will do open casting now. And I think that's made things better. I think that's gotten some pretty interesting, you know, casting. And I think the same thing can happen once they start opening that up for disabled actors and work harder to have more representation, not just of them playing disabled characters, but them playing any character.
Right. Beautifully said.
That's cool to hear, Colton, because I've always wanted to talk to you about your portrayal, you know, on the show. I did a show called Speechless where I worked with an actual disabled actor, Micah Fowler, who was a young man, a teenager, and I play his caretaker / mentor / best. You know, we become just best friends. And teaching him how to, you know, talk to girls. Hence the show was called Speechless, and he didn't speak, so I spoke for him. He used a communication board. He would point to with his laser on his glasses. He would point and make words and phrases and sentences, and I would read his board and talk to him, which was also another weird thing because in the show, for personally, Cedric had to memorize all of his dialogue and my dialogue. He was never pointing to anything.
Wow.
So it was a very schizophrenic way of doing a show. It was, you know, big monologues all the time there. I had to pretend I was reading, but actually, you know, doing that character, you know, both characters kind of. But working with him and then being able to, you know, go out on the street and have a family that has a child with a disability, and they're fans of the show was one of the best things that's ever happened for me. That they finally felt represented, and being Black and disabled aren't the same, but we're definitely cousins. We definitely have representation issues, and everyone wants to see themselves reflected on television or in movies or in literature or whatever. We want to see ourselves, and to have a child and a parent say that we love this relationship between this Black man teaching this white kid how to be a man is something that we've never seen. It was an amazing experience at doing the show. I miss doing the show. I was really sad that not it's a numbers game, so we didn't have as many people as we wanted to watch this show, but it was a great experience for me.
Really great show, and it's still available, I believe, on the streaming services on Hulu. Yeah.
Yes, Hulu and white women have it. Well, no, right?
Just come to me, man. You guys want to know? I'll hook you up with the white women.
Oh no!
No, this panel's taking a turn for the worst.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. A lot of people. It's cocaine. It used to be white girl. That
I'm cool with.
Yeah.
We have another question here, and then I think we can start to wrap up and go home. Is that cool with you guys? We do one more question.
That's great.
They're all at our homes. I just want to.
Not me. I'm at some white woman. No.
Look what you did, Colton.
What
you did.
Me? He did this all himself.
Your panel.
I am on the north side at a white woman's house. Okay, yeah, let's do it, Shoshana.
Okay. Last question was, any thoughts on dismantling gatekeeper culture? And I'll let you answer that how you will. Lots of faces.
I was just on a call with the WGA, and it was all the head writers and of late night and the showrunners and stuff, and they were like, "What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?" And I just want white people to clean up the mess they created. Do I have to be the victim of this and then clean up after you? Yeah. It makes me literally insane. And I'm a Black woman, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
I have room on my plate. I'll pick it up. I'll put it on my back. I'll do it. But I hate it. I hate this. I hate having to convince people that their white rooms are suffering, and they are making them look like dinosaurs and out of touch, and they should feel embarrassed. I don't like doing it. But I should say also, none of this is the answer to your question. But I should say that what happened is the quarantine, George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, and then Robin Thede is the lady who was the host of the Rundown and the creator of Black Lady Sketch Show, and she just started calling late night shows who she knew had no Black people and told them to hire Black people.
Nice.
And they did. So before quarantine, there were, I don't know the number, 4 or 5. She got 4 or 5 people hired because she was like, what are you going to do? You say Black Lives Matter, but do they? Put your money where your mouth is. And they did. So, I mean, also not an answer to your question, but just the freaking coolest thing that has ever happened that I've ever seen up close. That's so freaking cool.
Of that, yeah, it does answer the question.
It
that
does.
Is exactly it.
That's good.
Yeah. She got gate keys that she might not even know that she had, but she used them for sure. That's amazing. That's great, and that's a lesson to us all. To sometimes you have them. You don't know that you got it, but yeah, you do, I guess. And
Yeah.
use
And
that
like,
mouthpiece and get people jobs. It's great. That's so great.
yeah. And I don't think this is the answer either, but earlier we were talking about like how people were saying cancel culture, but really it's accountability culture, right? So it's like, you know, what are you, we just want accountability. Like, you know, you're saying that this is important to you, but really a lot of people are just holding their breath and trying to wait it out instead of like doing something. Just do something, you know. There doesn't need to be a gate, you know, like treat people like human beings, and like they matter, like we matter, and everything literally will be okay. But I feel like that answer is so simple that people are afraid of it. It's like, you know, it's like that's literally the answer. Treat people like human beings.
Yeah.
That's it.
You know, I think one of the things that, you know, especially the people out there who are in theaters or are working, working with theaters on trying to figure out how to handle things like gatekeeper culture. Ultimate power corrupts ultimately. And I think we can all look at the idea of the presidency, the president of the United States, and see what happens when one person is given too much power and the pitfalls that could happen. And we've been very lucky in the history of this country that, for the most part, the checks and balances on that one person have worked. But we're living through a time right now where they're not working so well. And I think that you need to turn around and start looking at our own places where anytime you put one person in charge of something, you're opening yourself up to a gatekeeper. You're opening yourself up to that one person wielding too much power. So any position you have that's a singular position, like the head writer of a show or the artistic director of a theater, figure out a way that you can either make that position split into the 2 or 3 people so that there's always a meeting of the minds to make decisions, or make that person accountable to a group. And these are just tenets of democracy.
Right.
But this is what we do to handle ideas of gatekeepers and choke points of power, is to make them accountable or to dissolve that power up amongst a group.
Can't help but to point out that if you are the head writer of a place and the place only has white people, then then Black people aren't funny to you. So then you aren't good at comedy. If you don't get a whole section of human beings, you shouldn't be in charge of what's funny.
Yeah. And don't listen to the excuses they'll give you. They'll tell you there aren't enough Black writers out there. They'll tell you that they can't get enough packets. We wanted to, but we couldn't. Don't listen to those excuses.
A side comment with Hollywood and the business of all, there's all kinds of gatekeeping, but there's other gatekeepers within the community of just the Black community of gatekeeping. I can say for personal experience doing a show where a Black man is helping a disabled kid along, that stuff was never acknowledged in any kind of the Black forums that we do have, with, and it's not about awards, but it's about being shown and showing that we're not just on Blackish. We do other things. Oh, Colton has been playing this person in a wheelchair for how many seasons now, Colton?
We're about to start season 6.
All right.
That's amazing. That I would love to see Colton acknowledged for that, whether it be nominated or at least, these aren't just white shows. These are shows for people. And I wish we would also open up the gates for that kind of, let's open up our minds a little bit on what that we have Black people doing all kinds of things in this industry as far as acting, I should say, is concerned, and writing is concerned. Let's open these gates a little bit more. Black people, let's just, it's not just one type of genre of stuff that we do. We do all kinds of stuff.
Celebrate our diversity.
Celebrate everyone. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Joy?
Yes, John Gebretatose.
Do you want to speak to it? The question or?
Okay. Yeah, I think like Colton was saying, when things happen from the top down and you give power to one person, then that's kind of how, I mean, in my experience, issues have been formed, and delegating that power to several people is important. I also feel that us as artists and creative thinkers, we can create the world that we want, and we're all so brilliant and smart, and I think it's a waste of all of this energy and this talent when we just give it to one certain person, or we have a person in charge and then everyone underneath them is also white. We have a huge problem with that in Minnesota, and I feel like we do ourselves a disservice when we turn down the artist thought process and imagining what we want from our community and how to make that possible. Because I'm a huge proponent of anything is possible. So I think starting with just being curious, right? Let's have a big goal and let's make little goals on the way. Just be curious about how things are run. Like with any job you get, with any audition, like if you're going to audition for something, figure out what their mission statement is. How many Black people do they have on their board? And just be curious about it. And it's okay to ask. And that's the only way we're going to dismantle things, is if we know. We're so willfully, we willfully follow a lot of things, and I think we have a lot more power if we're just a little more curious.
Beautifully said. I think I want to call that a stopping point for tonight, if that is all right with you all here on the panel. So I just want to, in summary, we've learned a lot of things tonight. Mainly, the main thing to take away is that this is not a familiar situation to us, to see very talented Black artists, comedians, just on all different levels. This is not familiar. This is relatively new to see us, kind of coming together. And there's not really any sort of capitalist behind this. This is kind of just doing this for us. This is mainly for us to build community with each other and to kind of find a way to grow. And the part that I really love about it is I feel like this is a space of healing, and we in a time where we really, really need it. So thank you all. Thank you, Colton Dunn, Joy Dolo, Cedric Yarbrough, Amber Ruffin, Michelle Gilliam, and Shoshana Daniels. Thank you all so much for doing this. This has been a pleasure of mine. What we're going to do, I just want to tell you all here, when I say goodbye, Cedric, and everybody here, just pop your, can you just turn the camera video off? You don't need to log off.
I'm going to keep it on. I'm on.
Okay. Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's everything. And then, where can people see? We'll start with Colton. Where can we find any work you're doing, or
well, yeah. Watch Superstore Thursdays on NBC, and take a listen to Voyage to the Stars. It's a podcast that I do. And check out the Amber Ruffin Show streaming on Peacock this fall.
Yes, Joy Dolo.
So I also have a podcast Forever Ago on American Public Media. Check that out. I'm working on keeping a camp open for BIPOC kids. It's called Camp Sunrise. Look them up, donate if you can. Amber Ruffin has a show, and I'm going to be the peacock. So thank you for that opportunity. Amber,
yes.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Amber Ruffin.
Oh, you guys, who knows? Check out Late Night with Seth Meyers. Coming soon to Peacock is a show called The Amber Ruffin Show. And if you have any ideas on what that might be, just email me. Thank you.
Beautiful. Cedric Yarbrough.
Yes. New episodes of Reno 911 are coming next Monday, August 24th.
All right.
The second half of our very funny season that we finally got nominated for an Emmy this year, and we're Really excited about it.
Yeah.
Got new Goldberg's episodes that are coming out. I guest star on that. I'll be doing a lot of those this year with the dope Jerry Curl and the Slamber Ruffler show. So young, so ready.
So young.
On the Peanut show. Peanut streaming.
Beautiful, thank you. And Michelle,
Very
Gilliam.
good. Yeah.
I just wanted to say shout out to Slamber Ruffin. If you're watching, I'm a big fan. But right now, people can. She's great, right? Oh my god. People can find me trying to keep my internet connection stable. And then when that works, some of the time, Improv MKE, Facebook, Twitter, all that fun stuff, Instagram. Get excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, everybody here. Well done.
Everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Should we keep waving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
There it is. Okay.